Hello, welcome everyone. We are very happy that today we are presenting from Prerona Television Canada leadership training series, Leadership with Emotional Intelligence. And we are very glad that we are having Professor Moinuddin Chowdhury. He is the CEO and founder of Society for Leadership Skill Development. He has a lot of experience in leadership uh, and also in the corporate, and also he has an academic. So we are very pleased that he is with us today, and he will share his experience and the session emotional intelligence. So I would like to invite our guest, our speaker, Professor Moinuddin Chowdhury, to present this session. Thank you very much.
Happy morning from Bangladesh. Probably this is the timing gap, and it's probably 10:30 in Canada. So thank you very much, and I'd like to thank on behalf of my organization, Society for Leadership Skill Development, for inviting me. And we have been working for the last more than 1 decade in Bangladesh with particular focus on leadership and management skills. Globally, emotional intelligence is not that much old. If you look at the history of emotional intelligence, back in 1996, with the publication of the book Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ by Daniel Goleman, actually was the first step towards its journey. Now, gradually, it has become quite popular around the world, and especially for professionals, emotional intelligence has become a sort of buzzword. It is not actually buzzword because we live with emotion. The difference we can make between us and other animals in the animal kingdom is our emotion. And we call human beings the best creation by God. It is because of this particular characteristic, and that is emotion. And I always say emotion means energy in motion. So I would like to discuss a few particular areas of emotional intelligence, and especially what it is, how it can actually control or enrich our life professionally and personally. And what are the tools actually we have in emotional intelligence? How we can maximize the productive part of the use of emotional intelligence? Is there any connection between emotional intelligence or any biological aspect of the human body? So these are the issues probably at very preliminary stage we can talk about. And it is indeed a very important area with the advancement of artificial intelligence. So when we hear this word artificial intelligence, we totally become confused. Is it the intelligence by the machine? Was this machine collecting the intelligence by itself, or any human being implants the intelligence of the machine? Again, this machine can be sometimes very challenging for human beings. Though human beings are the creators of this machine can be very difficult for human beings to manage. Now, when this thing happens, human beings become irritated, annoyed. Hey, look, this is the machine we have created, and now this machine is revolting with us. And I hope you feel the emotion of that situation. Again, this century is kind of the message or slogan, AI versus EI. It means artificial intelligence versus emotional intelligence. Now, when you talk about emotional intelligence, you see there are two words attached with emotional intelligence. One is emotion, and then the other one is intelligence. And if we analyze or if we try to find out the functional definition of emotional intelligence, we can very easily understand it is the intelligence of our emotion. When we think something inside our brain, it becomes actually our thought. And our thought process actually from inside us or within us controls our behavior and attitude. So when we are angry, we apparently can look angry. When we feel frustrated, we can apparently look frustrated. When we feel lost, demotivated, we might look demotivated or lost in our appearance in front of others. Emotional intelligence takes care of that part where we may have sort of distraction or the crisis of our personality image. Emotional intelligence can intervene and take care of that part so that we can deal with the situation with right attitude, right behavior, right dimension in conjunction with the environment surrounding us. So it's very important that how we actually take care of our emotion. That's why I said initially that the word emotion has quite an interesting dimension, like energy in motion. Etymologically, or if you look at the root word of emotion, the meaning of this particular root word is restless. So our emotion is always sort of restless position. We we can hardly actually control. There is a saying, um, only 30 to 35% people are aware of the emotion they actually come across, they feel, whatever the situation is. So if you see, almost 70% people, 65 to 70% people are unaware of the emotions they come across. And for not being aware of the emotion can be a disaster, a challenge, a difficult for any person in society. Because when you see that you cannot control the situation, then things might go wrong. Now, how we can turn that situation back on track is another issue. But first thing first, before happening that situation, or probably before coming to that situation, whether it is good or bad, we must take control of our emotion. Emotional intelligence experts believe there is no such word as we generally use, like good emotion, bad emotion. In fact, whether it is good or bad depends on how we behave based on our attitude. So I have a productivity cycle tool. I call it my attitude is my behavior. My behavior is your attitude. Your attitude is your behavior that comes back to me as part of interaction. And that's the cycle goes on. So if by any chance put any kind of negative attitude or that so-called negative emotions attached with that cycle in behavior or in attitude, it becomes worse. Probably our emotion inside us is better than the behavior of that emotion. On the other hand, the behavior of that emotion is more dangerous and more challenging than the emotion inside us. Suppose you are angry, and that's a feeling. And when you feel angry, if you can manage and control it, what you can do without showing that anger in your attitude and behavior, you can go along with the situation. Now, what if? Now, what if you publish, reveal that anger in your behavior and attitude? Oh my God, it becomes uh, so dangerous, so disastrous, and so destructive. People around you will probably look at you differently, think about your characteristics differently. So that's the difference we can make. We think something inside our head, it's okay because there are basic six emotions. You can allow them to come when you face such situation. It's very natural. But the question is, if you allow them to reveal through your behavior and attitude, that could be more challenging for you to control, to manage, and especially for people around you might get confused, might get different opinions or perspective about your personality and characteristics. So that is the reason why we call emotional intelligence. This is the use of intelligence with your emotion. Because if you are intelligent with your emotion by default, which comes within you, inside you, you can take care of your behavior and attitude more intelligently. It is an equation between your inner state and the outer world around you. And we know our emotions are within us, are inside us, but our behavior or attitude is apparent, it's open to all. Everyone can see how we behave inside us. Now, there is a question, something like that. Does emotional intelligence say being too much happy is sort of being emotionally intelligent? Or um, does it say if you become too sad or too worried about your emotions, is it emotional intelligence? Interesting part is that emotional intelligence always advocates for the balance of our all emotions inside us. It does not allow to have either of these emotions too much. So emotional intelligence always talks about the balance of your each emotion, and the balance should be in such a way so that it is constructive for others, for the individual, for ourselves. Ultimately, the outcomes of the behavior, the attitude even because of the unproductive feelings or probably unreasonable feelings must be diverted to productive damage. And we always know there is a term called IQ, that's intelligence quotient. And Daniel Goleman also talked about EQ, emotional quotient. And the difference between EI and EQ is that emotional intelligence is the process. And when you say EQ, this is sort of quantitative aspect of emotional intelligence. It means we measure IQ based on knowledge of an individual, and we measure EQ based on the use of our emotion, whether it is productive, unproductive, wasted, or well planned. And the connectivity between EQ and IQ is EI, or emotional intelligence, is the theoretical part, and EQ actually the quantitative part. There are different tools though. Again, IQ can be measured based on knowledge, talent issues. Interestingly, measurement of EI, or emotional intelligence, is a bit challenging, more challenging than the measurement of IQ. And because of that particular reason, we have to be very cautious. Now, when you say cautious, it does not depend on the assessor who is assessing the person's EQ, but it also depends on the individuals who is responding to the queries or the process. Because if that person, the individual, is dishonest, or if that individual is hiding the true emotions at the time of responding to certain queries, the result might be, I must say, must be misleading. So, emotional intelligence, as I said, globally or locally, is a very new concept, though in many forms it existed. We can say Howard Gardner talked about emotional intelligence. There are many other experts, social scientists talked about emotional intelligence, but it was in different form, like social intelligence. Initially, it was like social intelligence. So we had different references from uh, literature, from psychology about this emotional intelligence. Interestingly, when um, US psychologists Peter Salome and John Mayer first published the concept of emotional intelligence in one of their dissertations, it started taking its shape. And in 1996, another American psychologist, Daniel Goleman, published the book, as I mentioned earlier, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. The whole scenario of emotional intelligence changed because with that book, around the goal, around the globe, people came to know what emotional intelligence is functionally and how we can use it for us, not against us. So, if you say in one sentence, what is emotional intelligence? It is the intelligence, the ability for any individual to use emotion productively and positively. Now, I want to talk about how it is related with human brain. Emotional intelligence experts have come up with one biological concept of emotional intelligence in connection with human brain. There are two parts of human brain. One is called emotional brain, the other one is logical brain. And when you say emotional brain, there is a thing called amygdala. And we all know our brain has trillions of neurons, and neurons reserve, store information, message, data in amygdala part, or what we call emotional brain, has all fearful emotions such as frustration and demotivation, depression, fear. These are the fearful emotions amygdala is full of. On the other hand, on the logical part of the brain has all information or messages stored in such a way that it has a logical framework. It knows 2 plus 2 can be 4. There is no other explanation because it is based on facts and figures. Now, interesting part is when we receive any message, we all know that we have 5 sensory organs through which our brain receives different information or messages. That message first goes to amygdala. And as amygdala has all fearful emotions, there is a huge possibility that a person might react instead of responding. And scientifically, if a person allows, say, about 30 seconds to 20 minutes before he reacts or takes action to do anything in response to that particular message, the message or the situation goes to our logical brain. Now, when it goes to logical brains, what happens? Logical brains checks with facts and figures. And it looks for the best alternative option for the individual to act out. And then the situation that could have been more vulnerable or probably more dangerous could be minimized because of the logical framework process. I mean, if you respond from your logical brain. Now, emotional intelligence says we need both parts of our human brain. We need emotions, we need logics at the same time. But we have to make always the balance of 2 parts. Very simple. When we receive any message through our 5 sensory organs, it doesn't matter whether it goes first to amygdala, we wait for a while to have our logical brain to receive that message so that both can compare the best course of action to act out. And in one sentence, emotional intelligence is the balance of our emotional brain and the logical brain. Emotional intelligence does not discard any part of the human brain. It always says, always look for the balance of the analysis, how you should behave, how you should show your attitude. So that is the connection between the human brain and emotional emotional intelligence. Now, what are the components or the elements we have in emotional intelligence? Daniel Goleman actually talked about 5 elements or components as process of emotional intelligence. He talks about identifying the emotions of the individual. Suppose how you actually feel, how you identify your emotion. First, the first element is identifying, recognizing your emotion. The second component or second element is how you manage it, how you control it. That is the second element. And then the third element is, can you motivate yourself to deal with these two things, identifying emotion and managing it? That motivation is the third element. The fourth element is, as a human being, we live in a society and we live with other human beings. So we have to pay attention to the people around us. We have to respect how other people behave. And it is our responsibility to align their emotions with us based on our attitude and interaction. So this is the fourth part, thinking about other people around us. And finally, he talks about a relationship management for a longer period of time. Because as long as we live with that particular productive equation of relationship in the society. It's a bit difficult to remember, or probably a bit confusing. So I have come up with one particular tool. I call it 4 S's. S for sugar, no. I say, well, there are 4 S, and 4 S's are divided into two competences or two excellences. One is called personal competence. This is for the individual, for example, for myself, and other 2 S's for the people around us, for the society. Now, the first component, personal competence or personal excellence, deals with 2 S's: self-management and self-awareness. Self-awareness and self-management. It means, as an individual, I am aware of my emotion, and when I'm aware of my emotion, I learn how to manage my emotion. So, S1, self-awareness; S2, self-management, through which we recognize and identify our emotions. And when we can identify and recognize our emotions, we can manage it very simply and easily. These 2 S's, self-awareness and self-management, give us the opportunity to improve our own self, our personal development, our personal excellence and personal competence. And it is quite evident, if you can win over you, I mean, if you can take care of you with these 2 S's, you have won almost, I say, 75% of this process. Because when you are aware of your emotion and you know how to manage it, bingo. Because next 2 S's deal with social competence or social excellence. With that 2 S's, S1 deals with social awareness. It means you have to be aware of the people around us and who you come in contact with. In order to behave or interact with the people around us, we have to have certain skills. And S2 of social competence is social skills. And social skills teach us, train us how rightly, how appropriately interact and be with the people we come in contact. Social skills have a list of power skills. I always say power skills or soft skills, such as leadership, team dynamics, conflict management, communication, creativity, and innovation. A list of skills which almost replicate the soft skills. Actually, they are the soft skills. They are, I call them now power skills, because they are no more soft skills, because they are the power of your personality. That's why I call soft skills power skills of human being. Now, if I summarize my model, S1, self-awareness; S2, self-management; S3, social awareness; S4, social skills. With all these four S's, motivation is a must. You need motivation with everyone. Let me give you an example. Suppose you want to be aware of your emotions all the time. Then you have to be vigilant. You have to be aware. You have to be alert all the time. Sometimes you might feel demotivated or frustrated and lost. Then motivation will support you to continue the process. Same goes with other S's. You always need motivation to continue with this process. Now, these are the versions, the exact version of what Daniel Goleman talks about in his five components or five elements. I just made it easier for the people who really would love to improve his emotional intelligence. It's easy to remember. Four S's: self awareness, self management, social awareness, social skills. So it's very easy. It's convenient for any person to remember how to go along. Now, how can we improve emotional intelligence? Well, it starts with you, because when you talk about leadership, there are three steps in leadership. And in all leadership model, it starts with self leadership. And when it starts with self leadership, it connects with our personal competence of emotional intelligence. It means you are aware of your emotion, you know what emotion irritates you, what emotion makes you happy, and you know how to manage it and control it. You gradually grow day by day, you gradually become better day by day. So it starts with self leadership. The second part is leading others. And when it comes to the question of leading others, it connects with the social competence, social excellence of emotional intelligence. It means taking care of other people around you, and of course, the skills you need. And when you need the right skills to deal with the right people at the right time, it is actually to lead others and to lead any business or any community, any organization. It very easily connects the leadership concept. Any leadership model, if you talk about, it starts with self development. If you can lead yourself, you can lead others, you can lead the business or any organization. So, emotional intelligence at every step gives you the connectivity to lead yourself, lead others, and lead in a business and organization. Now, improving emotional intelligence is very easy to say, but it's very challenging. I must not say it is not possible, but it is possible once we have the right focus, right motivation, and the right goal setting and the vision. And if you take it as a mission, then you can easily become more and more, emotional intelligence. Now, just to start with, for the audience who are with us right at the moment, we can say, let's start with the self awareness part. You can observe your emotion for the next 7 days, how it affects you, how it impacts you, how it influences your behavior and attitude. You are angry, let it be. But the question is, before you bring it to your behavior and attitude, pause. Think for a moment, will it be the right moment to show my anger? Will it be the right moment? Is it the right people around me who will understand my anger, right? Because human emotions are very unpredictable, but it can be controlled, it can be managed. There comes the role of self management. So every time for the next 7 days, observe your feelings and emotions, feel it, allow it to, make you feel what it is. Emotional intelligence has no objection to any of the feelings or emotions you come across, but emotional intelligence intervenes with your process when you publish or deliver or reveal your emotion, be it anger, frustration, even happiness. Too much happiness is restricted in emotional intelligence because it might disrupt so many things. As I mentioned earlier, this is the balance of all our emotions. We have to show emotions appropriately. Well, maybe sometimes too much when you have actually no burden to continue. Let me give you an example. You are in a team working for an organization, and the team emotion is very high. You behave with them properly, and they love each other. They enjoy spending quality time. And you have an assignment. Suppose one of your team members has a birth, it's got the birthday. Automatically, as a team leader, you will wish happy birthday. It's okay. And there will be sort of, you know, overflow of emotions. It's okay. But how long? If you continue with that happiness for a longer period of time, as I said, you have an assignment to complete. Now it is disrupting your focus. You are getting diverted from what you should do and what you should be doing. Now, what happens? Your tasks gradually become pending. Because of the outburst of happiness, you are tired, you are exhausted, or probably it's time for you to go home. Now, you keep that task pending. Next day, it becomes a burden for you. That tasks were supposed to be completed, right? And because of that too much happiness, which you could have actually controlled, um, it took your time away, your energy, and it has become now burden for you. You see, too much happiness can be disruptive and misleading or probably burdensome for you. And you carry over that burdensome continuously. And if you continue with this, that too much happens. Emotional intelligence always teaches you, trains you to have balance between your emotions and your logics. And when you have the balance of logics and emotions, you are a super composed man. You know where you are going. You know, for everything, there is a certain aspect we call time management. If you miss your time, actually, you are getting overloaded day by day with the passage of time. So you have to do the right thing at the right time and with the right emotion. And if you miss that, it is very difficult to, recap or reorganize things you wanted to be on track. So that's how actually emotional intelligence can help you as a professional, as an individual. At workplace, emotions are very challenging because at workplace, people come from different socio-economic, cultural, psychological background. At home, you get used to with your wife, your children, your relatives. But at workplace, people often come and go, but they stay for a longer period of time. And there is a saying that we almost spend 75% time of our total time management at workplace. Now you see, that becomes our another family. And that family becomes too complicated for us if we are not aware of our emotions and emotions of other people we work with. That is the reason emotional intelligence is uh, a very rewarding process. And in leadership, you see, if you look at leadership, any leadership model, you'll see a leader works with a team, and a team needs energy, and that energy comes from emotion. As I said, energy in motion. Now, this energy has to be channelized positively and productively. Otherwise, there is a huge possibility that it might go in wrong direction and it brings disaster for your teams, for you, and in the long run for your organization. So, of course, there are certain tools, very specific tools to adapt, to practice, to act out. So there are three parts. First thing first, you have to actually identify the the process you want to apply to improve your emotional intelligence. Once you identify the process, then you go for the practice part, and we gradually practice, and then you have to act it out. It's like without its application, any knowledge is worthless. For any kind of model, leadership model, any concept, you know something but you cannot apply, then it has no value. You know how your emotion works, and probably you know how to manage it. But if you don't know how to interact with other people with the right empathy, right interaction, it will automatically go completely in vain. And with all these, you need some social skills, very basic understanding about those skills. Continuous learning is another aspect to improve your emotional intelligence day by day. And it becomes better and better day by day when you live with that particular aspect. Unlearn, learn, relearn, again learn. And lifelong learning is, of course, a very packaged, a very complete solution for any kind of challenges, any kind of processes. It depends on you, on the new individual, how you decide what course of action you choose, and then apply it in your daily life, personal life, professional life. In your determination, the mindset to have the vision, the goal. Yes, I want to be gradually emotionally intelligent. And that particular statement with commitment can make the difference. Otherwise, you always talk about emotional intelligence, but you don't know how to deal with your emotions, how to apply it, and it becomes challenging for you day by day. So, when you talk about leadership with emotional intelligence, it's actually leading humans, because you are humans, we are humans, and the team members you have around you, inside you, within you, are humans. And human brains are the most mysterious part. As I said, with the best creation by God, again, with the most complicated and mysterious creation by God. And in order for us to understand my own characteristic, your own characteristic, or probably the people around us, we really need emotional intelligence, empathy. Because when you lead as a leader, you lead human beings. You don't lead artificial intelligence. You don't lead machine. Again, when you interact with machine, you interact with machine as a human being, because you're superior to human beings. You're superior to machine. You created the mission. We created the mission. The machines are our slaves. But if you don't know how to use machines, how to interact with machines humanly, machines can be very destructive for us. So, in every area, be it artificial intelligence or the humans we come in contact with as part of our interaction, as part of our leadership aspect, emotional intelligence is the best solution to leadership, because we know when you communicate as a leader how to take care of empathy, how to take care of active listening, and all these issues, the skills come under emotions, and emotions can very rightly, if you use it productively, direct you how to lead your people, how to lead the team you are leading as a leader. So it requires actually the right tools, the right motivation, and of course, um, a quality time, specific time. Today, I'm here actually to discuss with Mr. Edward Mondal, CEO of Prerona Television, Canada, few, you know, the essentials of emotional intelligence, so that I can create a vibe, create a kind of awareness or understanding about emotional intelligence. And it starts with, again, the self-awareness. When you are aware of emotional intelligence, probably you're more interested in knowing how to manage it, or probably you're more interested in managing your social competence or social excellence. And gradually it can take us to that particular tool and how to use that tool in in time of need and in real life situation. So that concludes my agenda of discussion. If you have any question, or Mr. Mondal, if you can put any question from your part, we can continue. Thank you very much for giving me a lot of time. Probably I spent almost probably 15 minutes to 1 hour, 45 minutes. I
Right.
was expecting any question from your end, or probably questions from the audience, or any other questions you might have. Probably you can see whether people are asking questions on Facebook, or you may have any different questions to ask to clarify. Then we can go for it.
Yes, thank you very much. Really appreciate your contribution and the how you actually share with us the the emotional intelligence something. So I'd like to ask a question, right? You know that we are having the challenges in life, and like there are different phases of leadership, right? As we know that there is a personal level, there is a business or corporate level of leadership. So how we can use emotional intelligence, these tools or techniques, so that we can be successful in an organizations or even as a person, individual.
Right.
Uh, yes, and what should be the journey, right? I know this is a long journey, but
It's a
what are
long
the
journey.
tools like? What is your experience you can share with us, please? Thank you.
Okay. For example, let me give an example from one leadership model by Stephen Covey. Uh, in his book, The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, he talked about seven habits, right? And he divided seven habits into two parts. One he called private victory, where you have the proactive, be proactive, begin with the end in mind, right? And that part of the private victory actually relates to the self part. It means you have to prepare yourself. And when you prepare yourself, it connects the personal competence of emotional intelligence. It means self awareness, self management. You identify your emotions, not only your emotions, you identify or recognize your goals, your task, your vision, and your task orientation, what you should do, how you should do, who you should do. These are the issues clearly stated in the self awareness part. And then the other part he talked about is the uh, public victory. Public victory actually for the people he, as a leader, comes in contact with. Like he wants to lead as a leader. Now he has the quality as a leader when he started developing himself. So as a leader, first you have to prepare yourself. Before you lead, you have to make sure as a checklist, do I have the right qualities to be a leader? That is the most important part. Most of the time, we either choose the wrong leader or probably we assign the wrong person to lead, and then creates the chaotic situation in any organization, in any community. So first thing first, the leadership starts with the individual leadership, the self-leadership part. And that model gives you the right start of your journey, that you start with your own development first as a leader. So, for example, people who are listening to me can diagnose like this. If you are a leader of any organization, take a piece of paper and pen and make a list of things. As a leader, are you aware of your vision? As a leader, are you aware of your goals? As a leader, are you aware of your team members? How much do you know about your team members? As a leader, what plan do you have for you in future to take you the next level of your leadership? Or what plans do you have for your team members to take them to the next level of their leadership? So it starts with the self-awareness part and how you manage them, and automatically how you interact with that part of your people. Again, the skills you need to continuously develop and improve as part of your lifelong learning process. So it's a long journey, but definitely it starts with the individual model. The first, it starts with the person, the leader. He starts with his own development first. Even if you look at the 5 levels leadership of Maxwell, John Maxwell, it starts with, there are 5 levels of leadership. It's called P. The first P is actually position. And position means you have the quality to have that position. That's why you have been assigned as an executive, as an assistant manager, or probably a team leader. So it starts with the qualification, the quality as a leader, and that is your individual quality. Well, when you have the position, you cannot sit idle. You have to go the further level of the 5 level of leadership. And what do? You go for next P, and it's called permission. And what do you do with the permission? You ask your people to have you in their confidence, vice versa, and you create a team. Gradually, you create a dynamic team and take them to the path of production. And that next P is called production. It means result. Get your team engaged, get yourself engaged, and go for the production. They go for the results. And when they go for the results, you move on the next part, and it's called people's development. It means you know now how to develop yourself. Now allow your team members to develop themselves, because they become more and more competent, and you can delegate more and more, and you become actually better leader day by day. And the next level of leadership, according to John Maxwell, is called pinnacle. And you become such a leader that people respect you. People say, hey, this is the man I must follow. Probably you die, and even after 200 years, we remember the quotation by John F. Kennedy that leadership, learning is an indispensable part of leadership. That's why we say leaders are learners and learners are leaders, vice versa. You see, he died, but his spirit as a leader is still with us. That's the pinnacle level of leadership. But you see, it started with the qualification of leadership, the position. So you get the leadership position because you had certain qualifications, qualities. That's why you have become a leader. So, of course, in other models, you will see the same thing. The journey starts with the individual himself. Then he gradually takes his leadership upward, 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 and he reaches the pinnacle of his leadership. So the
So I have
journey is quite.
sorry,
Yes.
I have a question for. Do you have any suggestion for postgraduate students,
Mhm.
those who actually right to improve their skill, especially uh, with emotional intelligence and for their journey? So, any specific guideline or tools for postgraduate students?
Okay, we have actually in Bangladesh for the first time on behalf of Society for Leadership Skills Development, I personally designed a course. It's called Certified EQ Graduate, Emotional Intelligence, and it's online course. Anyone can, any part of the world can. It's a very nominal fee because of COVID. We're charging very nominal fee. It's in Bangladeshi taka, it's 500 taka. I know it's how much will it be in Canada? You can tell us better. And
I think it's
uh,
less than $10, I guess.
yes, less than $10. So
Yeah.
this is the great opportunity. He can search my course with my name, Emotional Intelligence by Professor Moinuddin Choudhury. He will get the link, the website, and he or she can easily do. It's very fundamentals, very essentials, in very easy, simple English, and it has only 5 modules, and he can do it. That's the one way out. There are different websites or different, YouTube channel where you can have a lot of information together about emotional intelligence with different examples. So I suggest that the person who asked the question can go for Google search, can go for YouTube for for the first time, experience about emotional intelligence. Then gradually he can understand better day by day. You see, Mandala, it's a long time process. So to start with, he can go for these solutions, and gradually, if he wants to go further, he can do diploma in emotional intelligence. I think in Canada there are different organizations who can offer diploma in emotional intelligence. That could be much better options for any postgraduate person to understand better and apply emotional intelligence in personal and professional life. Good.
All right. Thank you. So I guess so we have heard from the professional perspective, and for those who are actually want to improve their skill, like, and also from the postgraduate students perspective, how we can use the emotional intelligence. So I guess I won't take much time, but I would like to thank uh, Professor Mainuddin Chaudhary for your presentation. Definitely, we are planning from our channel to conduct more sessions, and this is a very important topic that this I got a lot of feedback from different groups or the different organizations that about learning or knowing the emotional intelligence leadership. So, and again, thank you very much for your time and for your wonderful presentations. Just letting you know that Prerona Television is based in Canada. We are federally incorporated like a channel, and then we are registered in Ontario, and also we are operated from Edmonton, Alberta. Currently, we do have a Facebook page, Prerona Television, so you can follow us from the Facebook page. And we are very happy that Society for Leadership Skills Development is partnering with us. And
Yes.
Professor Manuddin Chaudhary, he is the founder and CEO of Society for Leadership Skill Development. So we are hoping to at least having more programs in future. And as you know that this is our leadership speaker series is a continual series. So you keep an eye. So you will get more training and resources uh, for this type of training. Thank you very much. Have a
Yes,
wonderful
I'd like to
morning.
say a few words as last words from Bangladesh.
Yes.
And we both are proud of being Bangladeshi. And যারা বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটিতে আছেন তাদের জন্য I must say a few words in বাংলা, in a few lines in বাংলা. আমরা খুবই গর্বিত যারা আমাদের বিদেশে যারা আছেন, কানাডাতে যারা বাংলাদেশি প্রবাসী আছেন, আমাদের সশ্রদ্ধ সালাম, এবং আমরা আশা করব যে প্রেরণা টেলিভিশন will have the global impact and exposure. আমরা Society for Leadership Skills Development থেকে we are partnering with Prerona Television. Prerona means actually inspiration, to inspire other people. So probably that is the spirit Edward Mundell has got to inspire the community. We'll go for a series of power skills, soft skills to inspire, to improve the competence of the people need. And we look forward to having a big bang in Canada, in Bangladesh, everywhere. And Prerona Television, Mr. Edward Mondal, on behalf of Society for Leadership Skills Development, SLSD, thank you so much for inviting us. And we are happy to be your partner. And Prerona TV is also our partner. And we are proud of both Prerona Television and SLSD. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
I'll also say in few words in Bengali. I think we have a lot of our participants around the world.
Correct.
Those who speak in Bengali, because Prerona Television actually bilingual. You can say multilingual, but initially we are providing our channel like uh, we are actually broadcasting our session in English and Bengali. সো প্রেরণা
Okay.
টেলিভিশন কানাডার পক্ষ থেকে আপনাদেরকে শুভেচ্ছা জানাচ্ছি। আমি খুব সংক্ষেপে আপনাদের বাংলায় কিছু বলছি, যাতে যারা বাঙালি দর্শক রয়েছেন বিশ্বের বিভিন্ন জায়গা থেকে আপনারা আমাদের সম্পর্কে জানেন এবং আমাদের যে ট্রেনিং লিডারশিপ ট্রেনিং সেশন সেই সম্পর্কে কিছু জানেন। সো আগে যেটা বলেছি যে প্রেরণা টেলিভিশন কানাডা, এটা আমরা কানাডাতে প্রতিষ্ঠিত একটি ফেডারেলি ইনকর্পোরেটেড অর্গানাইজেশন। এটা আমাদের অন্টারিওতে রেজিস্টার্ড এবং এটা আমরা আলবার্টা এডমন্টন আলবার্টা থেকে পরিচালিত একটি চ্যানেল। আমরা বিশেষায়িত চ্যানেল। আমাদের চ্যানেলটা মূলত শিক্ষামূলক। আমরা এখানে আহ, আমরা রেগুলার যে সেশনগুলো করছি সেটা হচ্ছে লিডারশিপ স্পিকার সিরিজ, যেখানে আমরা প্রতি সপ্তাহে আমরা লিডারশিপের উপরে বিভিন্ন রকম সেশন করে থাকি। এছাড়া আমাদের সাস্টেনেবিলিটি স্পিকার সিরিজ আমাদের শুরু হয়েছে এবং আমরা ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল লিটারেসি সিরিজ করছি, ইমিগ্রেশন স্পিকার সিরিজ করছি। তো যারা এবং আমাদের সেটেলমেন্ট সিরিজটা এই মাসেই আমাদের শুরু হচ্ছে। যারা কানাডাতে বিভিন্ন জায়গাতে সেটেলমেন্টের বিভিন্ন রকম চ্যালেঞ্জেস এর আহ, মুখোমুখি হয়, যেমন হাউজিং এর ক্ষেত্রে হতে পারে, তারপরে জব বিভিন্ন ইস্যুজ এর ক্ষেত্রে হতে পারে। তো সেটেলমেন্ট সিরিজটা আমরা করছি এবং আমাদের যারা রিসোর্স পারসন আছে তারা কোয়ালিফাইড এবং তারা এই সেক্টরে অনেকদিন কাজ করছে। তো আমরা সত্যিকারে আনন্দিত আজকে আমাদের সাথে বিশেষ করে আমি অর্গানাইজেশনকে বলবো, অর্গানাইজেশন সোসাইটি ফর লিডারশিপ স্কিলস ডেভেলপমেন্ট আমাদের সাথে পার্টনারশিপে আসছেন এবং তার প্রতিষ্ঠাতা এবং সিইও প্রফেসর মঈনুদ্দিন চৌধুরী আমাদের রয়েছেন এবং তিনি আজকে ইমোশনাল ইন্টেলিজেন্স লিডারশিপে উইথ ইমোশনাল ইন্টেলিজেন্স উপর যে সেশনটা করেছেন খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ এবং খুবই শিক্ষামূলক একটা সেশন, এবং আমরা এটাকে আপনাদের সাথে অনেকের সাথে আরো শেয়ার করব। আমাদের আমাদের মূল লক্ষ্য হচ্ছে এটা ক্রিয়েটিং অ্যাওয়ারনেস, মানে আমাদের অ্যাওয়ারনেস ক্রিয়েট করতে হবে এবং অ্যাওয়ারনেস ক্রিয়েট করে বলা হচ্ছে যে আমাদের আমাদের যে রিসোর্সেস আছে, এখন আমরা জানি একটা নতুন আমাদের নিউ নর্ম আমরা মধ্যে আছি এবং আমাদের এই প্যান্ডেমিক স্টেজে আমাদের এই সময়টাকে এবং কিভাবে আমরা সঠিকভাবে কাজে লাগাতে পারি এবং
Correct.
এইভাবে আমাদের নিজেদের স্কিলকে ডেভেলপ করতে পারি এবং স্কিল ডেভেলপের ফলে আমরা যাতে সামনের দিকে আগে যেতে পারি। তো এটা আমাদের খুবই আমাদের জানা দরকার, এটা পার্সোনাল লেভেলে হোক বা অর্গানাইজেশন লেভেলে হোক। আমাদের ইমোশনাল ইন্টেলিজেন্স সম্পর্কে আমাদের অনেক জানার আছে, অনেক শেখার আছে, অনেক কিছু বোঝার আছে। তো আমি আবারও ধন্যবাদ দিতে চাই প্রফেসর মঈনুদ্দিন চৌধুরীকে আমাদের সাথে থাকার জন্য।
My
আমাদের
pleasure.
ভবিষ্যতে
My
আমরা
pleasure.
আরো প্রোগ্রাম করব এবং আমাদের আমরা রিসার্চ, তারপরে আমাদের পাবলিকেশনস, তারপরে আমাদের
Publications.
আমাদের আরো অনেক প্রোগ্রাম আমাদের সামনে আসছে এবং আপনারা চোখ রাখুন আমাদের এই চ্যানেল, শিক্ষামূলক চ্যানেল। আমরা চাই দেশ জাতি এবং বিশ্বের গ্লোবালে আমরা যারা এখানে মেইন স্ট্রিম মিডিয়া রয়েছে, পপুলেশন রয়েছে, তাদের সাথে কাজ করতে চাই। সেজন্য আমরা শুধু বাংলাই না, ইংরেজিতেও আমরা তাদের সাথে কাজ করছি, যে আমাদের যে দক্ষতা রয়েছে, আমাদের যে এটা রয়েছে, আমাদের সব জাতি বর্ণ ভাষা নির্বিশেষে এবং মানে দেশকাল পাত্র মানে কোনো আমাদের বিচার না, আমাদের সবাই সাথে কাজ করতে চাই এবং আমরা ওদের গ্লোবাল সিটিজেন হিসেবে আমরা আমাদের স্কিলটাকে ডেভেলপ করতে চাই। তো উই আর ভেরি হ্যাপি ফর দ্যাট। আপনাদের আবারও ধন্যবাদ দিতে চাই। আমরা আজকের সেশনটা আসলে টাইম মতো শেষ করেছি, আমার এক্সপেকটেশন ছিল 1 ঘন্টা, তো 1 ঘন্টার মধ্যে আমাদের শেষ হয়েছে, প্লাস 5 মিনিট আমরা বাংলায় বলেছি। তো এক্সাক্ট উই আর
Right,
অন
right.
টাইম, সো উই আর ভেরি প্রফেশনাল, সো উই
Exactly.
কিপ আওয়ার ওয়ার্ডস।
Yes.
সো আমরা
Ex-
খুবই আনন্দিত কারণ আমরা একটা 8:30টায় শুরু করেছি, আজকে 9:30টায় আমরা শেষ করলাম।
exactly.
তো থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ, আপনাদের আবারও শুভেচ্ছা জানাচ্ছি। আপনারা চোখ রাখুন আমাদের আগামীকালকের অনুষ্ঠান, রবীন্দ্র মৃত্যুবার্ষিকী উপলক্ষে আমরা একটা অনুষ্ঠান করছি এবং আমাদের কলকাতা থেকে বিভিন্ন রকম বিভিন্ন গুণী শিল্পীরা তাদের কিছু অনুষ্ঠান আমাদের মধ্যে তারা প্রদর্শন করবেন। এবং যেহেতু আমরা বলি যে একটা উই আর গ্লোবাল সিটিজেন, তো আমাদের এটা বাংলাদেশ, কলকাতা বা কানাডা এটা আমাদের কোনো না, আমরা গ্লোবালি আমরা সবার কাছ থেকে আমরা একসাথে কাজ করতে চাই। তো আমরা খুবই আনন্দিত, আপনারা চোখ রাখুন। এবং আমাদের শনিবারে একটা সারদ ভোকাল স্পেশাল রয়েছে, ইনস্ট্রুমেন্টাল। তো আপনারা চোখ রাখুন আমাদের চ্যানেলে। ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে, এবং বিশেষ করে আমাদের প্রিয় প্রফেসর মনিউদ্দিন চৌধুরীকে
Thank you.
ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you very much. Bye bye.